please welcome to the stage your co-pair for this evening, Mr. Billy Sloan. It's going to be a great night, so just sit back and enjoy this roller coaster ride that we're about to go on. I'm going to talk to the great man for about 30 or 40 minutes, then we're going to have some questions from the audience, and then at the end we will have a signing session. He really does need no introduction, so will you please raise the roof for the one and only John Lydon.
I've done this now for 40 years, and it's about time people realise plastic is a very good thing. If you use it frequently.
John, welcome
Have
to
you seen the condoms?
No, I think you would have a much bigger bag if you had your condoms. John, it's always great to see you in Scotland. You know, you're back on tour again with Public Image Limited. You seem to have a renewed energy and enthusiasm for being on the road with the band. Why is that? Are you just enjoying it more now than you've ever done in the past?
Because this is the only thing I'm actually any good at. And the only thing really that combines all the elements of my personality that work really well. Songwriting with music. I mean, I would have loved to have been like a book writer, you know, because of the fashionable aspect and pretentiousness of that. But without music, it don't count. Right? You're just an author. This is for me. I'm speaking from my personal heart. And when I want to
Hey, let the great man speak, please.
Listen, there's a reason you're there and I'm here. If you want to know what it is I'm discussing with you, shut the fuck up. I like it with music. It's the way I can transfer my emotions the most proper. And that's all I've ever wanted to do, really, since meningitis at 7, lost my memory, in hospital for a year, took 4 years to recover. I went into all kinds of mad mental sessions, but found myself, ended up with endless jobs, looking after problem children, actually, working on building sites, and then joined the Sex Pistols. There's a reason why all these things fell into place, and I'm very, very lucky. I landed well in life. I don't know if nature likes me or dislikes me, but I'm the kind of person that will make it work. And I do not believe in self-pity, but I do believe in industry and hard work. And my mummy and daddy taught me that, and everything in life has taught me that. And that's why I'm on tour now. Yeah. You're on tour. So kissy, kissy, baby. I bet you look gorgeous. You're hiding in the dark.
John, you're on tour at a very busy time because you have just released a fantastic box set called Stories from the Heart. A lot of us saw the movie earlier tonight, which if you haven't seen it, I can recommend it. It's called The Public Image Just Rotten. It's absolutely fantastic. And then last year you did your Book of Lyrics. You've been looking back over 40 years of your incredible career. Do you have highlights? I mean, when you were putting all this stuff together, did it throw back great memories for you?
Well, it was nice to do the 40 years of the Sex Pistols last year, which I ignored. Because, I mean, that's just 1 year in my life, and a very important year, which I'm very, very grateful for. And I want you to understand, I have the deepest love and empathy for those fellas, right, in that first band. And indeed, every band I've ever been in ever since, right, because of their contributions. But it's really hard to hear them being bitter and twisted about me behind my back, because, I mean, really seriously, looking at it now, 40 years of PIL, I've fucking done a lot for a lot of people, right? And Mr. Wobble owes me a ham sandwich. You know, he can bitch and fess out there, they all can, but I mean, I gave them a life, right? I didn't fucking charge them for it. And in fact, I've never charged anyone for anything. It's always been my own money, you know, which has been hard to fucking earn in an industry that absolutely despises anyone who thinks differently or outside of the box. And here we go.
You mentioned...
Enjoy the box set.
You mentioned working with the guys in the Sex Pistols there. I want to take you back to the 14th of January 1978. You're on stage at the Winterland Ballroom in San Francisco. The Sex Pistols is crumbling round about your ankles. You know it's the end of the band and you walk up to the microphone and say, ever get the feeling that you've been cheated? Did you have any idea what the next few weeks or months held for you, both personally and professionally? Did you have a plan?
No, I mean, that was almost a suicidal delivery, but it needed to be said because I felt as cheated as the entire situation. And I'm the kind of fella, I'm not going to hang around and do the Mick Jagger easy way out and just keep on repeating it and thinking it's going to get better or the money's easier or any of that at all. No, I decided that had to be knocked on the fucking head because it was wrong. It was wrong. And this is PIL proving it.
Was it ironic, though, do you think, that when you formed Public Image Limited, as the movie showed tonight, that you went from basically one band that was pretty dysfunctional in places to another band where you were having, you know, disputes with Ya Wobble and Keith Lydon?
No, they're not disputes. It's the money. It's always down to the damn money in it. Right? And to set up PIL was the most difficult thing. The record company was absolutely dead against it, but at the same time wouldn't let me off the contractual obligations. So what they were expecting really was me to reform with the Pistols under a different name. And the name at the time they were using was the Professionals.
Yeah.
Sounds like third-rate criminals, doesn't it? So we're back to the Malcolm McLaren game plan, and this was unacceptable to me. So I decided to move in very, very different areas. So what I did was I hunted around, I found me friends, and you know, most of them couldn't play, just like, you know, the early Pistols. And the record company had the audacity to say, oh, these are unknowns. I mean, what the fuck was I when I started? You know, it's such an awkward universe out there that every single time you come up with an original idea, they'll find a way of not letting you off the contract, but using it on one of their lesser bands, you know. And there's a long history of that, of people imitating PIL.
I mean, most musicians would be very fortunate, I guess, to change the face of music once, but to do it twice is quite remarkable. Well, what kind of blueprint musically, if anything, did you have for Public Image Limited? Because, as you say, Virgin were probably expecting some kind of Ramones guitar band, but you went down this very experimental...
Which they never got in the first place,
Why was that?
The Ramones was second fiddle. To me, and I love Status Quo, but they're a much better band than the Ramones.
But musically...
All that phony New York leather-studded jacket, tight jeans, shit imagery. Well, you know, Status Quo were just a bunch of working-class lads from somewhere near me. And I really like the way they rocked. So I love music, you see. I'm not a snob about it at all. And everyone was expecting, I don't know, I'll give you an example. When I did Capital Radio, a TV show in England years ago, they were expecting me to play all these punky type records. Well, I'm sorry, but I like everything. I'm the kind of fella that I will not deny myself entertainment.
Let's go back to
even if it means a game show in the afternoon.
Let's go back to the...
Which I won't be on.
let's go back to the very beginning, because you mentioned a few moments ago that you had, as we all know, a pretty tough childhood. You know, at 7 years of age, you had meningitis, you lost your memory for 4 years. When you came out of that very dark tunnel, the other side, is that what gave you such a voracious appetite for learning and absorbing information, whether it was music, whether it was books, whether it was films? Is that one of the kind of byproducts of the illness?
Yes and no, but my mum knew this. I've always been intrigued by shapes, colours, art, newspapers. When I was very, very young, 2, 3, and she taught me how to read and write. I could read and write by 5 fluently. And it was all based on really the artistic principle of headlines. I wanted to know what my parents were doing, staring at these shapes. And so there it is. If that's artistic of me, then that's what I am. But I want to know what people are communicating through and what the processes are. So yes, fluent, read and write at 5. Got to school, that was wonderful, except it was a Catholic school, and I'm left-handed. Which the nuns in those days took as the sign of the devil. Were they right? Everything is possible, but the judgment calls on you. The fact that you could read and write at all at any age is a major achievement. And so all my early childhood was all put downs, you know? And so there it was, between 5 to 7, hell, put in the corner because I could already know all that stuff, so therefore was useless to the process. And then at 7 got meningitis. Now, no big deal, no self-pity, but I think that was nature's way of saying, bloody hell, John, this system ain't working for you, you need to start again. And that's what happened, and here I am today. I do the best I can not to lie to anybody, but every now and again you do a little thing as you mustn't be telling everybody all about.
But you know, it was a typical kind of working class upbringing in North London, and it was actually a very musical family, because you say in your book, Anger is an Energy, that your father actually had an accordion which he kind of kept hidden away in the house, but your mother actually had the makings of a very good record collection, and when the friends and family members would come round on Saturday night for a drink, you were the DJ. So when did pop music and pop records start having a big influence in your life? I mean, what was the first few things that you heard?
I think since the age of 4, really. In them days, the record player was a dance set. Right? Just a little box with a little speaker, and you could stack the 7 inches on it. And my mum and dad felt very proud that their firstborn could do all that at 4 and pick the proper records, you know. A proper good mix between reels and jigs and the Kinks. You know? Not so much the Beatles. I don't know why I had a hatred of them. I mean, the ideology of she loves you, yeah. I mean, you don't need to be reminded, do you? If she loves you, no one should be telling you. Lonnie Donegan, does your chewing gum lose its flavour?
I hope.
Listen, fella, I'm a library.
Listen, I hope you bootleg that, because that is the next PIL single. No, but you, as a teenager like us all, you began buying records and you began going to gigs. And you actually had very, if you pardon the phraseology, Catholic taste, because as you said earlier,
yeah, isn't that a strange term?
You love
widespread, but it's such a negatively limited religion.
But you said that you love status quo, you went to see bands like Hot Wind, you loved the first 10cc album. What kind of records were you buying, and what kind of bands were you going to see?
Anything that didn't have religion in it.
So what were the first gigs you went to?
Listen, everything. There's just 2 hatreds I have in life. It's politics and religion, because they stifle us. I was so independent when I finally found my voice again, right? I mean, at like 13, 14, I was going off to like rock festivals on my own. I've seen just about most bands ever, you know.
Who made an impact on it?
It's just everybody. This is like the old days, before festivals become corporate, when there'd be one stage and there'd be 15 bands on it. And I begin this process in London, clubs like the Roundhouse and, you know, and the King's Cross Late Nighters. And I'd be doing that at a very, very early age. And of course my mum and dad were like a bit terrified, but at the same time, they realised that like I'd found my independence, and they are the best parents I think anyone could ever have, because they allowed me to do that. Not that they could say no.
Did you?
But it's important to find yourself. When you've lost yourself for 4 years and your memory's gone, oh, for God's sake, let that kid out of the house.
Did you do what we all do, which is stand in front of the mirror with a tennis racket, pretending to be your favourite guitar player, or the hairbrush and singing along your right? I mean, I won't use the word heroes because I know that you don't like that word, but who were the pop stars that you admired or aspired to?
You've introduced sport to me. A tennis racket.
Yeah. Didn't you have tennis rackets in North London?
The only time, and I might have mentioned it in the first book, I ever used a tennis racket was to kill a rat that was running across the floor. I'm not a sporty person, I can't be. Physically, the damage done to me from then is irreparable. But there's the thing, you see, physically I'm a wreck, but I think mentally I've got something going. That's up to you to decide, you're here.
Who were the pop stars that you aspired to? Who were your favourite, singers and guitar players and bands?
Gandhi never released that hit single I always wanted. I don't have heroes as such. What I've got is people that stand up for themselves, and lyrics are really, really important to me. I sit there and I listen, and if the thing is meaningless, well, good riddance. But every now and again, there's, childhood memories, Chirpy, Chirpy, Cheep, Cheep, I love that song. Production values matter a lot. T-Rex, Mark Bolan, I mean, there's something absolutely pointless words, except for this. Girls danced with me, because of T-Rex beats. I mean, that was lovely. That was what we needed in rock music at the time. We had Tamla, we had all these clever soul boy moves, but, we're the stupid, aren't we? It's hello. Do you want to dance with me? And in fact, we got a song on the last album called The One, which is exactly about that. It's got that mock the hoople and in summertime and all of that thrown in because of that memory of at 14 being clumsy and thinking no girl would ever want anything to do with me. And then years later, it was all the wrong girls that wanted everything to do with me. It's 6 of 1.
But when you were going to these gigs and when you were buying records and when you were like a teenager like us all, discovering the great pop music, of that particular era.
The production values were astounding.
In your quieter moments, was there ever a time when you thought, I would like to have a go at this, I could be a singer in a group?
Oh no, that came way late. In fact, it didn't come up at all until Mr. McLaren and the band approached me in a pub in King's Road. You see, again, Catholic school, the last thing I ever wanted was to be close to the priests. And the idea of being in the choir, every kid knew it in the building what that would entail. It would be the end of your tale. And then you'd have some sorry tales to tell years later.
But there was that.
Just come back from Dublin. Oh, what a lousy Pope meeting that was.
There was that pivotal moment though where you went down to Malcolm McLaren's short Sex at 430.
Oh, I've got no problem about sex at all.
Yeah.
Sex for adults is fucking essential.
No, but they wanted you to...
None of us would be here.
They wanted you to audition and you stood in front of the jukebox and sung the Alice Cooper song, I'm 18. What do you remember about that? Were you
Not the
nervous?
words.
Were you nervous? Did you think, I'm making a good job of this? That could be about...
No. I didn't take it serious. I mean,
Yeah.
how could you? You know? A bunch of like free drinks walks up and goes, ha ha ha, would you like to be the singer in our band? And it all based on a I Hate Pink Floyd t-shirt. Well, it worked out because I had the gall and the bottle to do it. And I was ready-made because the ideas are in here. I'm ferociously thinking all the time. And I found an opportunity to put lyrics to music. And that concept hadn't come up to me before. So there's a great element of luck in life, but you have to armour yourself previously. Reject no education of any kind, because sooner or later, even things like the binary code can be useful.
I use it all the time.
At Tesco's.
But you know, what were your first attempts at writing lyrics like? Because the thing about both the Sex Pistols and Public Image Limited, even if you listen to...
but I love poetry.
The first Sex Pistols album and the first PIL album, the lyrics from a writer's point of view are incredibly accomplished. Had some, you know, artist written that 4 or 5 albums in, he'd have been delighted with it. Why did you have such a talent, do you think, for just finding the right words for the right notes and the right music?
Have I?
You certainly have, yeah.
No, honestly, that's very nice to hear, but I don't believe a word of that. I just don't, because this is what happened.
But you don't...
No, there's no intellectual pre-planning in it.
I understand that, but you don't sit down by accident and write, I am an Antichrist, I am an Antichrist. I mean, that's pretty accomplished for a young guy in his early 20s.
Not when you're as accident-prone as me. I know what you're saying, but you're putting too much emphasis on it. It really is happen chance. And like I said before, educate yourself fully beforehand. And then these situations you're capable of grasping. It's not predetermined or pre-planned. It's not even prefabricated. It just happens sometimes. And it is luck.
I know that you don't like, you know, competition. You know, you put a record out and, you know, it stands on its own merits. But it must have been incredibly exciting when you brought those singles out, Anarchy in the UK, God Save the Queen, Pretty Big, and they got into the charts. I don't believe that. It must have been fantastic.
Oh, the early demos were catastrophic, but then we did, and then what I get chased around the streets of London by people welding knives. I mean, you know, I'm a precursor to the modern teenager. No, it weren't great. Victim every single fucking time.
But what was the best thing about being Johnny Rotten of the Sex Pistols?
Well, did anybody answer that question for me? Seriously, it's not the kind... I need to hear that clear.
Sex, drugs and rock and roll.
Calm down.
No, you're not. You see, no, he said it best, that last fella. Being Johnny Rotten, you're allowed to be an arse. No, you must be the most perfect person. That's the trouble with it. Right? It comes with, whether you like it or not, a responsibility to not be the arse that everybody else in this industry is.
How exciting was it though? Because, you know, you would go into these towns. Hang on. You would go into these towns.
Dundee's up for it today.
We're
You're the other ones.
We ain't going to get through any of this if you keep shouting, because we can't hear you. It just all sounds like a...
I can hear them. You're all right.
Okay. when you travelled around the country, you know, you were being banned from some towns and playing in some other towns and playing under the same. Was it exciting? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, well, there's a situation that came up the other day on an email to me about being banned in Scotland, right? Well, hello. I think somebody confused the issue, it's probably me, when we were first banned in Scotland. It was the Lord Provost of Glasgow that banned us, right? And somehow, in the mistranslation over the years, that got transferred to a Lord Provost of Scotland, which I don't think there is there one? No. So it got transferred to the one here from Dundee, and you know, hello, you know, Farquhar, I think was his name. Farquhar, you were innocent. Rest in peace. And that's important because apparently one of his family are here tonight, so, you know, hello. Let's hear it for the Farquhars. Don't mean no wrong.
We talked backstage before coming on here about, you know, all the gigs that the Sex Pistols have done over the years, and you said to me, and I was quite surprised, that I was lucky enough to be there later on in the night, but it was Christmas Day of 1977. And a couple of days beforehand, I went into my mother and said, look, I won't be down for Christmas dinner this year. And she said, why are you working? And I said, no, I'm going to Huddersfield to see the Sex Pistols. So you can imagine, that went down like a lead balloon. And in the afternoon, you played a gig for the children of striking miners and found two gigs in one day. What was it like to play to an audience of kids who were just so into what you were doing?
In them days, there were demonstrations up on the side of Blighty, should we put it that way, and we decided to do a gig for the demonstrating firemen. But then the local orphanage rang up and said, oh, you know, it'd be nice if you played for the kids. You're damn right. It was the best gig I think I've ever done in my whole life, to have young children. We spent a fortune on cakes so they could slop us up. That, you know, that really was the Great British Bake Off. Cake used correctly. And when you see kids being happy, and here's the thing, right, all this contention in Britain going, oh, those offensive lyrics, those dreadful bad people, kids get it. Kids get it, right? And when you see 7-year-old orphanages, right, you know, dancing to a song like Abortion, presenting both sides of the case. You know? And I've got to mention, you know, I know my mum had a few abortions before I came along. You know? So hello, us survivors know how to celebrate.
And at the gig, even Sid was in his best behaviour because you warned him in advance to, you know, watch his language and stuff like that, didn't you?
Language? I mean, how can you ban words? These are all valid things that, you know, we're not monkeys, are we? You know, ooh is good enough, but, you know, I've done TV shows with chimpanzees and gorillas, and the one thing I know about them is that they want to communicate, but they lack language. Well, us as human beings, we have the language, and we should use every single word of it. And does no one on this planet have the right to tell me what is a good or a bad word? There is good or bad use of it, but quite frankly, you know, if I'm a celebrity, it's fuck off you come. Said in the nicest possible way.
It's almost hard to believe that Sid Vicious died in 1979, 40 years ago. Can you believe that? And you say in your book, Anger is an Energy, that you and him were mates. You were really close. You grew up together. You shared a squat together. You know, there was a real sort of fellowship and companionship.
Yeah.
Do you still think about him every day? Is he a guy who comes up in your mind and you think back to the good times you both had together?
listen, that's my friend, you know? And there's this cottage industry out there trying to separate us and go, who's the best pistol, who's this, who's that. They just don't know how close we are as human beings. And you're trying to divide us in ways that are anti-human. Right? We are what we are. Every single one of us tells our truth. It may not all agree at the same time, but there is genuinely no hatred in it, except through the media. And so, there we go. Tell me what is fake news. It's puzzling at the moment, isn't it?
Divide and rule! You're the best band ever!
Divide and rule is exactly right. That's what they do to us.
And what
Yes, Fred Flintstone, I heard. Poor old Barney Rubble.
And what kind of guy was Sid Vicious? What kind of friend was he?
Very, very funny, very witty, not very bright, bit of a coat hanger, a complete Dave Bowie fan.
And what was your feelings in 2010 when Malcolm McLaren died? When you saw to see him pass away?
Hip, hip. Sad. What happened there was, it came as a surprise. I was in the middle of a TV interview, and my genuine reaction was one of sadness, because it's the way I am. I miss the space of any human being on this planet. We've only got one life to live, and whether you got on with each other or not, oh my God, please don't resent the air they took. Because without them, we're not that diamond on top of that pile of shit that they create.
Where are the Sex Pistols at the moment? Are they in a box to be taken down from the shelf and dusted off at a later date, or is that part of your life that's totally gone now?
I couldn't hear a word.
Okay, next question. A few years ago, here's one for you. I know you don't like competing, you don't like lists, but a few years ago, the BBC conducted a poll of the 100 greatest Britons of all time. Now, as you would expect, in the top 10 were people like Winston Churchill and Horatio Nelson, Charles Darwin, Shakespeare, etc., etc. But at number 87 was John Lydon. You actually beat Viscount Montgomery of Army.
I also beat Ian Paisley.
Yeah.
Who I thought was a very interesting fella.
Were you pleased to be listed as one of the 100 greatest Britons of all time? Because I personally thought you should have been higher up.
Fake news.
It's a poll. Who knows who puts that together and for what reason people vote? I mean, you know, it's meaningless to me because I've never done this to compete with any of my fellow human beings.
Yeah.
I just view myself as lucky to be alive. Right? I survived a major illness, no self-pity about it. Sorry, I've always wished I was a jazz musician. But I got there in the end, didn't I? And I'm here, and hello. And I mean, I like the way we're talking. Do you know what I mean? We're being human with each other, right? There's too little of that in this business. In fact, there's too little of it in the world. Hello, we're all lucky to survive. If I was to sit here like all night long, every single one of you could tell me a story probably much sadder than mine. Right? And here I am. I just managed to put a few words together that conveniently explain it. Right? I'm telling you, I'm not your God. No. Right? I'm not the one. Don't stand behind this flag. Wave your own flag. The world I'm looking for is one of complete individuals.
Now, the other thing that a lot of people don't realise about you is that there's a lot of humour in what you do. None more so when you went on I'm a Celebrity, you were an absolute sensation. And the Country Life butter advert, you did that, it was sensational. I've never tasted Country Life butter in my life. until you started advertising, and I went out and bought a tub, and I have to say, it was brilliant. Sales went up 85%. Was it just good fun to do?
This is why we're both down root tongues.
We should have been eating the low
We
fat
sample
stuff.
the product.
But you're quite happy to do stuff like that, so is it good to sort of, set yourself up occasionally?
I had a simple thing with the butter. Well, I didn't, I've got to be honest. I mean, what a mad thing for someone to offer you a butter campaign. And then you are thinking, oh, yes, I'm fighting for the free world. And they're offering me fat. Did it? It was challenging. They presented scripts, but I've got to tell you, it was one of the best working relationships I've ever had in my entire career. They absolutely said, yes, look, we'll give you a script, but we know you're going to ignore it. There's a field, there's some cows in it, go for it, Johnny. And it was excellent. And the benefit was that the British dairy industry gained 87% in sales because of me. The downside, of course, was when the final payment was due, they decided to cancel the contract. And that's the nature of the business I'm in. You get these empty promises continuously, but they never deliver to you in the end, even though you deliver to them. But the end result is, look, I wouldn't have done it without the fact that I love making my own curries, and I don't care what you say, margarine does not replace butter.
What do you think, John, of the music scene of 2018? Do you think we need something like punk rock? Will something like punk rock ever come along and shake up the industry?
Well, anyone got a band out there? Shout your name out. So there's not a lot of choice there.
No, but do you think we need something to come along and give it a shake again? Somebody's just sent the CD up, we'll check it.
Was that a CD or a packet of cigarettes? I could do with the singing.
Right, what we're going to do
The thing is, stop competing. Don't view other bands as your enemy. They're not. They're your friends. This is the only industry we have where we do not need to hate each other. And yet that's exactly what goes on. How many years have I been in this? 40 plus, whatever. And I'll tell you, the biggest tragedy is meeting other bands, because 9 out of 10, they're hateful, jealous fuckers. And there's no reason for it. And 9 out of 10 are ex-band members.
Okay, right, what we're going to do now is we're going to give you the opportunity to ask a question of the great man. So I think the easiest way to do
All
it,
at once.
if you just come down to the central aisle, and we'll have a microphone. If you just take the microphone, identify yourself, ask the question, and John will do his best to answer it. So who's got a question for John Lydon?
Does anyone know what a central aisle looks like?
Okay, here we go.
What's the biggest change?
What's the biggest change you've ever made in your life?
Pardon?
What's the biggest change you've ever made
What's
in
the
your life?
biggest change you've ever made in your life?
My underpants, of course.
Oh,
No, I will elaborate. Everybody knows the early Johnny Rotten. Really was rotten. I mean, I didn't have the money, underwear then, in them days. I mean, I don't think anything out there, right, really in them early 50, 40 years ago, thought about changing our underwear.
No, deep part of that.
Do you know what I thought a toothbrush was? I thought that was something my dad used to clean his boots. That's the truth, and you're not laughing, and you shouldn't, because that's the reality. Next question.
Sorry, it was a very good question.
Well, you're still scratching yourself with a toothbrush. Have you seen the new Japanese toilets?
No.
Oh, they're fantastic. They're automatic, right? You don't need to wipe your own bum. A little toothbrush comes out. It squirts hot water. It's the ultimate Johnny Rotten dream.
Next question, please.
I'm scared to ask. How you doing, Johnny?
Hello.
Good. Welcome to Dundee. And back in 1978 was a film called Quadrophenia, where you were put forward for the name of Jimmy, which was later given to Phil Daniels. What happened with that?
Weird that. I mean, I wanted to do, the Quadrophenia film, right? And Pete Townsend was the one that wanted me in. But the manager took such a fucking dislike to me. Because I took a dislike to him. Because he was yakking on about percentages, you know? I didn't want a percentage of a film. I wanted to fucking tell the true mod story.
Thank you.
All right.
What's the worst gig you've ever played?
Some of them pubic hairs in my anus. When they get caught up, you know, you need something like a bowstring to unravel them. And suddenly it's passionate Irish dancing.
Hi, Johnny.
Hello.
Gorgeous. Can you tell me who was Pauline?
And body.
Pauline.
By me.
Who was Pauline in Bodies?
What?
Who was Pauline in Bodies?
Pauline. An insane girl.
Truth.
No, it's a real story. She turned up at my front door with an abortion in again, a Tesco plastic bag.
No way.
No, for real, right? Horrible stuff, what people can get up to. But absolutely crazy. But there was a whole bunch of them kind of girls at that time. You know, I mean, that's what you attract, you know? You put your face out there, and before you know it, there's an abortion in it. I had to, for my own mother when I was young, flush a couple of abortions down, you know? Yeah. So, no, that's the history of us, right? I lost family members, but in them days there were no quick doctors. We had to do things the quick and easy way.
Who was Pauline? Could I?
Pauline was an insane girl. As far as I know, she's still locked up. It's not polystyrene. That's another fucking nutter. And an entirely different story. What I'm trying to reflect on, though, in the song is that in them days, the absolute disgusting thing that was put on women who were unfortunately pregnant and in situations they could not get out of, with having to deal with ultimate complete shame, through punk rock, found a plastic bag and revolted in a different way. So I'm not saying, oh, bad girl. I'm saying she had no alternative at that point. And so God bless women that have suffered endless cruelty at the hands of judgmental bastards that got them pregnant in the first place. God bless the women.
Hi, Johnny. I've read the first book on the Pistols, and in the Golden Jubilee, when you went in the Thames, and I think Paul Cook or Steve Jones got assaulted. And you got to jail.
No.
What was that? Just somebody writing about it, about going in the Thames? Did you love that?
No, I didn't even know it was Jubilee year. Right, then let's begin with that. I mean, you know, I was enjoying the alcoholic period at the time. Up that came the Jubilee. We got on this boat, and it was supposed to be everybody could do what they wanted in Britain. It didn't work out for us lot, did it, that way? Right? And so we got raided, and I mean, the first thing when the police raided the boat, they go, which one's Johnny Rotten? I pointed out Richard Branson.
It looks a bit like Johnny Rotten.
And he's the one that got nicked. And we've been very good friends ever since not.
Hi, Johnny Paul. I'd like to know what's your opinion on the group The Doors, and do you like any Jim Morrison's poetry?
Everything.
That's definitive then.
Everything. Again, a man who stood up for something like quite different. Nobody sounded like the Doors when the Doors were the Doors.
What's your favourite Doors song, Johnny?
Waiting for the Sun.
Go and record that next PIL album.
It's bands that break the norm interest me, you know? Yeah. They did not sound like anything else. Everyone was squeaky high voiced. In comes, you know, this delicious, well thought out set of lyrics that meant something really deeply personal to me. That's it. That's it. And that's how music should be.
Hello, John.
Ow.
The ill-fated tours in America in 78 and then PIL in 79. How many tunes do you think you would have played with the Sex Pistols if you had kept going? Do you think you would have played?
No. I know what you're saying. There was no point. I knew in America when I said, ever get the feeling you've been cheated, that I could never write a song with this lot, not ever again. I knew not to trust them. I knew that whatever it was they were up to was mediocre for me and 10 fucking steps backwards.
So
that's not ego, mate. That's looking at their management and who they affiliated with and how they affiliated with each other and how they made life so fucking difficult for me and Sid.
I appreciate that, mate.
You know? And that's why I'm here and they're not.
Exactly. I bought Steve Jones' book and I thought he was a prick before I read it. And he's a bigger fucking prick after I read it.
Do you know what? He's an unused prick. He talks about using it a lot. Fucking hell, that man can tell a fib.
Yeah, a lying bastard prick. Right, John, thank you.
Well, let's hear it for the masturbators. Mr. Jones. Peace, son.
Hello, Mr. Lydon. Can I ask you two questions about sources? It's actually one specifically from another friend of mine. It was actually about the name.
Oh, for fuck's sake, you and your sources. Can you just get to it?
Well, Muriel Sparks' book, public.
Ah, Muriel. Oh, how about the
also can.
Yeah, what is your problem with both issues?
No, I'm just asking you actually elaborate on the
I don't need to, I've told the truth, right, as I always do, right? The things that influence me, I'm not shy about at all. The things I love in life, I'm not shy about. The things I hate, everybody knows I'm reserved in my opinions.
Yeah, but I was just
what is it you want to know?
Why you read first?
Why do I read?
How did you get into Muriel Sparks?
Because I love libraries, and if there's one thing I could save in the world, it would be libraries. They are the most wonderful places. This is where children spark their imagination. You don't do that off the internet or TV.
Yeah.
That's cancellation of free thought.
And how much of canned work do you think actually spilled into your own work?
None. Do I look like a drummer?
You don't like the drummer?
I said, do I look like a drummer?
No.
Okay, next question,
Okay, I was
please.
just thank you, man.
Thank you.
Hi. My other half is meant to be here tonight to see you, and he's gutted that he's missing it. He's actually stuck in a chamber at the bottom of the North Sea. So can you say hi to him? But the thing is, he speaks in helium. So, yeah, because they can't inhale oxygen, they can only inhale helium. So there's a whole group of them.
Hello, Mr. Diver. I was thinking of helium. You know, I'm getting on a bit now. I'm 62 and it's hard to hit the high notes.
He speaks in helium. He speaks in helium.
Send him my love. That's a hard, hard place to be working.
Robbie, shout hi.
I'm doing absolutely fine, fella. It is a pleasure to talk to you. You sing a lot better than I can talk.
Thank you very much. That's him cut off. Thank you very much.
Thank you, that was fantastic.
Thank you. That's the best interview I think I've ever had.
I want to know, did you ever check Susie from Susie and the Banshees?
Have you not followed my career? I don't do gossip.
So there's your answer.
No. It was a no, actually. He's dead right. The fella behind you got you.
Hi, John. I have to say,
I'm not
first
very...
of all, I'm loving your trousers. So, my next question is... Wait.
Is that your Scottish joke?
No, I actually do love your trousers. So, back to the old days. Did you like the clothes that Vivian made for you back at the start?
No, none of them fucking things fitted. Really? Every button possible to pop would. And most of the stuff I wore, I had to fucking design myself, right? The bondage thing, the tartan, she wouldn't have none of that. That's my lunacy. I mean, my dream when I was 16 was a straitjacket. 18, it was a tartan straitjacket. Quacks like her don't come up with that. They imitate that. Right? Hello, I'm John.
Hi, Johnny.
Oh, don't go off in a huff.
Hi, Johnny.
Hello.
Hi, pal. Listen, I just want to ask you a question, right? When did your love affair with reggae start? Because 40 years ago you sent me that letter.
Oh, you're the letter guy! Hello! This is a very, very, very long night. Did you want to tell them the history? You should.
Tell them, Neil. Tell them. So
it was about 40 years ago, and we all loved the Pistols, were on everything, and I just loved my reggae, because I used to squat down in London off King's Road a way back then, and used to go to summer when pub just come out, there's a lot of like heavy reggae dub places going, and I just fell in love with it. But when I came back to Glasgow, we'd hang about Bruce's record store, you know, listen to when the Pistols came out, you know, they played it live there. But the thing was, I couldn't get really good reggae, and I was like, how the hell do I be able to some good reggae writers? So I just wrote to Johnny Rotten, Virgin Records. I says, look Johnny, I love the Pistols, but I just want to get some right good reggae dub. And then about a year and a half ago, I got this letter through, and it had the PIL watermark, but nobody knew about PIL at the time. So you must have to get the paperwork, Johnny.
Only a year and a half ago?
No. Then and there was a PIL watermark on the letter, but
the thing is, he managed to get in contact with me, and what you must understand, for me, music's not about snobbery, and the fella was genuinely interested in how to access a form of music he had no names to get into. Well, I view that as my responsibility to say, share and share alike, fella. And there we are. And it's nice now to put a face to you. Salute!
We've got 5 people there, so let's get through all the questions and then that'll be the end of the night. Next question, please.
What was your thoughts on your portrayal of, the way you were portrayed in the film Sid and Nancy, you and Sid?
I couldn't care less how they presented me. And I expected a little different from Gary Oldman because, I mean, he's come on to be like somewhat of a serious, oh, I'm giving up acting, I'm so good at it kind of fella. The film to me, the caricature of Sid looked like a picture postcard of my friend. And if only they'd have fucking asked any of us who actually knew him what he was really like, don't you think that would have made for ever such a better film? Right? And this is the trouble with it, you know? These fellas, they put themselves over as pretentious superior actors. They're cheating us every single time they don't tell the truth. So there's my wonderful attitude with actors.
Alright, man.
Second rules.
I have, you know, I'm a bit ignorant. I love the Sex Pistols. I've heard a little bit of PIL. I'm a little bit ignorant. I don't really know yourself that much, but I think you're a fascinating person, and I love what you're saying. And it's not such a question as such. I found it really interesting when you were talking about the Catholic thing. Because what
I'd much listen. Stop that. I'd much rather talk about the electric light
It's not
orchestra.
religion. What I was going to say is, do you not think, even though you think it's bullshit, it's like still in your mind. And what I wanted to ask you, sitting in the back, you look a bit like a priest. You got a white collar and a fucking black shirt. Not like the stripes. I'm sorry, man. I was just curious. That's what made me curious.
I was waiting for you.
I get it. I understand that.
Well
What
then.
do you get? Even though you're not religious, if you're family, blah, 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 blah. No, you listen to me.
Listen, this is public image. We are a church without religion.
I don't believe me. I don't give a shit about religion. Found it interesting.
If you
do you not think
bothered-
it's like a plant thing, like goes in your blood?
If you bothered to see any country western cowboy movie in the last 50 years, you know all the best sheriffs swear this.
Thank you. Right, we'll get 4 people.
Good evening.
We have got 4 people left, so...
Listen, do yourself a favour and go back and re-understand the Electric Light Orchestra.
Right, we've got 4 or 5 people left and then we'll have to finish the question, so let's fire through them. Carry on.
You're my favourite of the night, by the way, fella.
She's a cracker, ain't she?
Right,
She's a cracker, ain't she? She's a cracker, ain't she? What, is she a cracker? Isn't she lovely?
What's your question?
Yeah, well, my question is, John, sorry.
I'm really...
Honestly, but only one of yours, but you've been in the, as you says, Hawkwind. Was it, do you think, was it during the Lemmy's years? Because I think everybody actually thinks...
The only one I do...
Or was it Dean Crocker? Sorry. No, Gary, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Can I have 5 languages instead of 15?
No. So,
listen, the key word...
Hawkwind, how was it? Was it
when you finish, I'll pick up.
Right, the question... Right, okay, Michael. The question is, did you prefer the Hawkwind lineup which had Lemmy in it, or the previous one with the Dave Walker?
I loved me Hawkwind live. I did, big time. Right? And rave and anything that gets me dancey and happy. Right? And rock festivals and the whole thing of it. And what I miss very, very much is this modern world of rock festivals does not allow us to be like we were then.
Really well.
You know? And so, to grand finale, your whole point, I will miss Lemmy forever. He was one of my friends.
Yeah, man.
Okay,
Thank you, John.
let's have the last 4 questions.
I'm desperate for a piss.
Last 4 questions. So let's make it quick. Here we go.
Makes 2 of us. Unless someone brings me, oh, there is a champagne bucket. Oh, I can continue.
Hello, Johnny.
Yes.
I would just want to be interested about the art of writing poetry in your life. How important do you find that is in your everyday life?
I never approached it as poetry. I just love the way words flow. And sometimes they connect and sometimes they don't. Now, to begin the interview tonight, you were going, anarchy and all of this. Yes, these are words that don't naturally connect, but they do emotionally. And that is the true poetry, not the easy rhyming slang. And that's the difference, I think, about how I view life. I love the flow of us and our language, no matter what culture, creed or race it comes from. We can communicate. I know this, I've travelled the world. I mean, it's absolutely not a problem for me to be able to stand on a street corner in Beijing, China, and understand humour with my fellow human beings. And that's it. And now I'm going to have the piss of the century.
I just, do you see any connection?
If you can wait, I will be back, but I'm fucking desperate, man.
What's going to happen, we've got 3 questions left after the gentleman there. What's going to happen is that once that finishes, if you make your way out to the dog leg, John's going to do a signing, and if you've got anything that you would like to get signed, we would just ask simply that you confine it to 1 item per person. I don't think we're going to be able to do photographs because we'll be here until like 4 or 5 in the morning, but he's quite happy to sign whatever you've got. If you don't have anything that you have to get signed, you can buy a record or whatever, but we're going to do a signing at the end and you can get to shake hands with a great man. So wait till he goes for a piss and we'll get the last 3 questions. Thank you very much.